Okay, everyone, now we're going to do the wrap up for Tell Me About Your Family Too. We're just going to go over a few things here. First, we've got you can make fuller descriptions. You don't need to stick with the pattern that is in the dialogues. Now, to do this, you can use the conjunction and or the conjunction but. Now, be careful because these are a tad bit different. Now, when we use and, this is just to put one similar, consistent idea into one statement. So if I asked you the question, what's your dad like? Me asking you about your dad's characteristic or personality. Um, let's say that you say your dad is bossy. I'm going to say he's bossy. Now, if you say he's bossy, and we can use a modifier here, you can use an optional modifier. He's a little bossy. He's really bossy. I'm going to skip the modifier for now. So we're going to say he's bossy. Now, if we use and, we want to give a word that has another negative connotation. I can't say he's bossy and laid back. It's not going to make any sense because we want to keep this as consistent as possible. So think when you're using and, you're just going to be complaining about your dad. He's bossy. Erase the period. And let's think of another negative connotation for an adjective. We can say he's bossy and demanding. He's bossy and demanding. If you want to continue extending this sentence, then think of another negative characteristic, maybe loud. Let's say, and loud. We don't want to use and again. It's optional. You can say he's bossy and demanding and loud if you're just wanting to give a long list. But you only need and one time, so just use a comma. He's bossy, demanding, and loud. So with and, keep the idea consistent. Now, with the conjunction but, we're going to introduce a contrasting point. We have the sentence, he's bossy. What's your dad like? He's bossy. Now, when we use but, we're introducing a contrasting point. He's bossy. This is negative. So now, if you use but, you want to try to put a word in there that is the opposite of bossy. He's bossy, but thoughtful. So you're introducing a negative point, then you're using but to introduce a contrasting positive characteristic, something that is kind of the opposite of bossy. Now, you can go ahead and extend your answers whenever someone asks you, what's your mom like? What's your dad like? You can use and, just make sure you keep your sentences consistent. And when you use but, make sure you're introducing a characteristic or a descriptive word that is the opposite of what was said previously. Now we're going to just quickly re-review over the modifiers. Remember, with positive characteristics or descriptions, positive characteristics would be laid back, thoughtful, and so on and so forth. When you're using these, you can use super, really, or very. What's your dad like? He's really laid back. He's really laid back. Now, really, very, and super can also be used with the neutral characteristics and the negative characteristics. So a neutral characteristic would be shy. I don't think shy carries a negative connotation, but it doesn't carry a positive connotation. So if I say my mom's really shy, then it just means she just will not talk. If I say my mom's a little shy, then she's just a little shy. Um, Now, with neutral or negative characteristics like shy, bossy, loud, any of those, you can use modifiers that modify the descriptive word to a lesser degree. So you can use a little. What's your dad like? He's a little bossy. He's a little bossy, but thoughtful. If you want to add "but" in there. Um, so yes, there's other modifiers, and you can see that in your communication variations. So a tad, a bit, but just make sure that you do not use like a little with a positive characteristic like laid back. So just keep that in mind. And then I just wanted to mention something quick about stereotypes. Stereotypes, when we use these, we're just using them in kind of a silly, very casual way. If you ask me, what's my dad like? I can say he's a jock. He's an old jock. Or he's a drama queen. You can use stereotypes to describe your parents as well. But typically we use these to describe our siblings, and it's just something that's kind of playful. It's not meant to be taken seriously, but yes, you can use stereotypes like nerd and jock and drama queen. You can use that to describe family members or friends or coworkers, any of those types of people. So yes, that is going to conclude the wrap up for Tell Me About Your Family Too. And I'd like to thank you very much for following along.